I'm not going through cancer, but hearing someone speak about their experience with cancer and then feeling like, okay, maybe I can do this. Because look at this, female that has a buzz cut that's like living proof that hair doesn't define you. And she can still be feminine and still be happy. And, even though that it was a choice for me, it wasn't a choice for her. It was inspiring for her to see someone that looked like me in that moment.
Thank you for coming on again. We did this last weekend, and I'm just going to be fully transparent about that. But we had to do it again because we had a little bit of a technical error. So I really just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your time and your energy with me again. And thankful to the ladies who are here, sharing their space, their talents, their skills, their gifts. It is a production today. Yeah. So I wanted to start, Brodie, by asking you, what is the theme of your life right now? If you could name it and claim it, what's the theme?
Expansion.
Ooh, expansion. Tell me more.
Ooh, what a powerful question. I love it. I feel like this is the time that I'm just expanding in every single area of life, whatever that looks like. Whether it's like 1% a day in a certain area or 50% in that area that day. Like every day looks so different, but I feel like every single area of my life, I'm just focused on growth and expanding, whether that's expanding my mind, expanding my body, like space within my body, or, just the opportunities that I can, receive in my life.
Yes.
Everything is about expansion.
I love the percentages thing. I actually just heard somewhere the other day about, I think they were talking about kids and being on a percentage on whether you want kids or not, because a lot of times it's not this like black or white, yes or no answer. It's like, I'm at 10% right now. And then I just played with some beautiful babies and now I'm at 14 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I love the percentage because 1% is still growth.
Yeah.
And so is 50.
Yeah.
And we can't always be at the same rate of change with everything.
Mm-hmm. I really love that because like in the personal development space, so many people talk about just growing 1% each day. And it's not about like doing all the things. It's about just like honing in on one thing that then betters your life as a whole.
Yes.
Like maybe that is solidifying your morning routine that day. Or maybe it's as simple as like eating breakfast or taking a 5-minute stretch or taking a walk or, just like bettering yourself a little bit each day.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be like a grand, I got my whole life together in this one day. It's like, that's not realistic. And that's also not sustainable.
Yes.
So it's just about that like little piece.
Especially in this industry, like being in an entertainment.
Yeah.
That is something that I think a lot of us feel the pressure of needing some grand, big accomplishment on our resume.
Absolutely.
Instead of just incrementally getting better. And I just watched another clip yesterday. I think it was Danny Polanco who was saying like, do you want to get better or do you want to just look good? Because it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
I think growth and expansion and healing actually can sometimes be a little bit ugly. It can be destructive and it can look like not all of the Instagram pictures that we see,
Yeah. And I feel like that's why I chose that word when you asked me that, is because like expanding and growth often isn't post worthy. Like you don't want to post about it because it's not perfect. It's like, no, it's been hard and that's okay. And that's great.
Yes.
What
is the most vulnerable thing that you think like you shared online?
That is a powerful question because I feel like the most vulnerable parts of myself I haven't shared online.
And do you feel like that's something that you want to maintain, or is that something that you see yourself doing in the future?
See, I love that question because I do want to be more vulnerable online, but there is a fear of like, but then people won't hire me. There is a level of like, your page is your resume.
Yeah.
And your page is a highlight reel. So something's coming to me right now. Maybe I should create a page that is completely different, that I can be vulnerable on.
So that you have your resume.
You know what I mean? Because Because like oftentimes I do want to be really vulnerable, but also what if that's that one day that a huge director comes across my page and then I'm talking about like something hard that I've gone through. And then they're like, oh, well, I don't want to hire her because she doesn't seem like she has her shit together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is a layer of you do have to look like you have your shit together for someone to want to hire you.
Right. 2 videos come to mind that I've seen you post. I've seen you cry twice on your Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
One was a beautiful story that you shared with me last week when somebody came up to you and shared that they had cancer and were so inspired that you were wearing your hair and rocking your hair the way that you do. And they came up to you and they were like, thank you, like, for just being you and walking around. And I remember you sharing that video and that being super inspiring. And then separately, as a video that you shared, it was like a concept piece.
Oh, yeah.
And both were really raw and different. How do you feel about those 2 videos and how they stand?
Honestly, I don't even remember posting the cancer situation. So that's interesting that I did, because I don't remember ever sharing that on social.
Yeah.
But I believe
remember
you.
That.
I believe you that I posted it, but I don't remember posting that. It's so interesting because those are such contrasting situations. The first one was a real life experience that I just felt compelled to share, talking about running into a female that had a buzz cut and was inspired because she saw my light and how happy I was at a bar with friends, but she was going through surviving cancer. And so she was just first growing out her hair. And I was sharing that experience because that was like really moving and inspiring and empowering. But then the other one was a concept video that I did with this contemporary company that I work with. And it was around school shootings. And so it was a very, heavy topic. And, throughout the piece, certain of my classmates had passed away because they got shot from a school shooting. And I was one of the survivors in that piece. And so watching my castmates die in front of me was, scary. So then putting yourself in that situation, of course, there's elements of acting and, artistry and like doing what we do as actors, but also like imagining being in that real life scenario. So like that was a really, really life-changing project to be a part of because it stretched my artistry and it stretched my capability of acting and performance and just all the things. So that's very interesting that like I've cried on social in 2 different situations that we're talking about. I'm sure I've cried more times than that, but just being vulnerable in like 2 completely different ways.
Yeah.
Because one, you're like putting yourself in that situation and then it's playing out how it plays out. But the other one was like a real life situation that I'm not going through cancer, but hearing someone speak about their experience with cancer and then feeling like, okay, maybe I can do this. Because look at this, female that has a buzz cut that's like living proof that hair doesn't define you. And she can still be feminine and still be happy. And, even though that it was a choice for me, it wasn't a choice for her. It was inspiring for her to see someone that looked like me in that moment, I guess.
Yeah. A couple things come to mind. I feel like being vulnerable as just a human being, like outside of like sharing our art, it really, to me, depends on your brand, because I do think some people who don't share, it's like almost inspiring to see them always be strong or always put out a certain type of content. And then I think we are moving into a space where it's really cool to see people who we look up to, who do have a big platform, who are like, this sucks, or I'm going to cry about this, or I'm going to be vulnerable about this. Yeah. But I don't know that it's for everyone. So I was just curious how you viewed that.
Yeah. I definitely struggle with that every single day because there are things that I want to post, but I, for some reason, don't. And I think there's a fine line because I do see people get messy on social and I will never be that girl. It's like,
what's messy?
I mean, not in terms of like being vulnerable, but I do think people share opinions that they just shouldn't. It's like, that just makes you look like a bad person. And I never want to be that girl, It's like, not everything's meant to be shared. I think especially around like political opinions. But also it just depends on your brand. Like maybe you do want to be that person that's outspoken. I think it's a fine line between like being an individual and speaking your mind and being vulnerable, but also looking like you have your shit together.
Yes.
And like being bookable.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it just depends on how you want to play it.
Yeah, it depends on how you want to play it. I feel the same way.
But honestly, for me, I know part of my purpose in this world has nothing to do with my political opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So I will never be that person that's speaking on political things.
You never know.
It's true. It's true. It's
Okay.
true.
On this topic,
You're right.
I think this is a great place to bring up sharing your body online too, because that's incredibly vulnerable.
For sure.
For some, it might be more vulnerable than crying, and you feel extremely comfortable with your body.
That's true.
And I've seen you post like these incredible videos, either dancing or like being on the Lyra, doing aerial stuff where you're naked with another person, or you're naked by yourself, or not naked, because obviously we can't post naked, but you know, as close as you can get. And I know that you've experienced some difficulties sharing that kind of stuff. Like, I would love to hear your vulnerability there and how that differs from something like that, like crying.
Wow, how interesting. So I feel like it's so funny that the conversation has segued in this way, talking about vulnerability with crying and like sharing opinions to vulnerability with your body, because I don't feel vulnerable when it comes to my body. Like, I feel super empowered. I feel like crying on social is a more vulnerable situation for me, or even maybe even sharing my opinions on certain topics. That's more vulnerable. So I've never really thought about the two differences in terms of vulnerability. So it's very interesting that you've like brought that up, because I would feel more vulnerable with a mic in front of myself being asked questions. And I do feel very vulnerable right now than when I am naked in front of a camera. Like, I feel so in my element naked in front of a camera dancing.
You look in your element.
Thank you.
Naked in front of a camera dancing.
Thank you.
When was the first time that you knew that that was very empowering to you?
I think my first naked photo shoot.
Okay.
I felt so empowered. And it's funny because my first naked photo shoot, I was taking photos for my boyfriend at the time, and my friend just came over.
For him? He wasn't taking the photos,
No, for him. It was like part of his birthday present.
Okay. Cute.
Yeah, my friend Megan at the time, I was telling her that I didn't know what to get him for his birthday. And she was like, how about you get him like a few different things? And you should also throw in some nudes. I'll take some photos of you. And this was before I was like who I am today. Like, I was young. I had my curly hair. Like, I was, just a different human.
Which I've never seen.
I know. I'll show you photos. I was like, I think like 22, maybe 21. So like completely different version from the Brodie that I am today. But she suggested that I take some photos, and I was like, whoa, I've never done that. I had never taken nudes of myself, like nothing. And she was like, let me come over and we'll like shoot some stuff. And she kind of like,
this is a good friend.
She coached me through it, and she was like, oh, I've been taking nudes for years. Like, he's going to love it. And I was like, okay, like, let's do it. And so she came over and we just like shot some photos on my couch. And a lot of it was like suggestive that I had a blanket and I was like covering up and like laying over the side and like, showing off my body. And that was the first time, because I had to like warm up to it. Like, the first couple photos were awkward, not cute, because I just didn't feel confident. But then by the end, I was living. And she was just like, being supportive and telling me that I looked hot and like, oh, try this. Oh, grab your hair. Oh, grab your neck. Just like all the things. And then by the end, like, she was like, okay, we got the shot. And I was like, no, let's keep going. Let's do it. I like love this. And so that was like the first experience that I was like, okay, this can be like artsy and classy. And then I actually got them printed at like a printing shop, NoHo Copy and Print, that we print our resumes and stuff. Like, I just went and got those printed, and he was like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, these aren't professional photos, but like, just something for fun. And he was like, not judging, but he printed them out. I saw them and I was like, oh my God, like, my body is art. This is an art piece. Like, yeah, they're nudes, but It was like just so empowering. And then another layer of that was my first professional photo shoot, nude. And it was this photographer that my friend Will like always shot with in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, this guy David wants to shoot with us, like let's do a couples shoot. He's gay, not like we're a dating couple, but like a man and woman artistic thing. I just remember like feeling awkward in the beginning, but it took me less time than it did the first time to like feel in my skin and to like come up with new ideas and be like, oh, like let's try this. Oh, let me like suck in here, let me elongate here, and like let me just, you know, I was just in my element. I knew what to do. I knew my angles. And then, you know, when photographers, I mean, people shoot in different ways, but my favorite thing about photo shoots is when a photographer will look at the photos and be like, you have to see this. And they'll show it to you on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can be like, oh my gosh, these look amazing.
And then you know how to adjust from there.
You can adjust, or you can be like, okay, it looks better than it feels. And then you get that like other layer of confidence and you're like, okay, this is going to be a dope shoot. Like, let's keep going. I mean, it's definitely a process.
Yeah.
But I remember vividly those first 2 photo shoots like changed my life because I learned how to feel empowered nude. And now I just do it all the time and I prefer less clothes.
I'm just going to put out there, I'm manifesting some sort of shoot with you, either like nude or whether it's like,
oh yeah, let's do it.
We have like something dance wise over, because I love kind of being stripped down too. But I've never done it with another person.
Oh,
It's always been by myself.
Yeah. Yes, we should absolutely do a shoot. And it's like a whole other layer of feeling empowered when there's another being.
Another body with you, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Highly recommend. Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I would love to segue into something that's really interested me about you for a while, because when I met you, like I said, I've never seen the curly hair. And I've noticed, you know, over the past like year or 2, like your brand has now shifted into like, oh no, I'm not just Stephanie Brodie anymore. And yes, I have this buzz cut, but I am now Buzz Cut Brodie. And like you transforming into this brand and changing your name. Like, tell me more about how that feels to own that and step into that and take on this hairstyle for not just like a year, but like to take that on as your part of your identity.
Yeah, that's such a powerful question. I feel like I decided about a year ago that I needed to solidify my brand. And I feel like everything in the industry right now is less about being a dancer behind other people. It's more about your brand as a person. And so when I made that realization, I was like, I want opportunities because I'm me. I don't want opportunities because they need 5 dancers and I'm one of the dancers. You know, like I want people to like seek me out because I'm an individual and because I'm unique and because I'm Brodie. So when I decided that that was kind of the next level of my career, I wanted to like figure out how I could differentiate myself from the thousands of dancers in Los Angeles, you know? And so I decided Buzz Cut Brodie would be perfect because I have a buzz cut. And I just think it like rolls off the tongue and it's cute.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to truly commit to having a buzz cut too, because I've also had limiting thoughts in the past of like, oh, like maybe I should grow out my hair. Maybe I would be, you know, booked more, or because I have lost out on a lot of jobs because I don't have hair. I have been released from jobs that I booked and then they decide that they want the women to have ponytails or whatever hairstyle and then they let me go. Like that has happened quite a bit. And I have had thoughts of like, oh, well, if I had a, you know, more normal hairstyle, maybe I would be booked more. But then I realized like, I don't want those jobs. I don't. There are thousands of women that you can choose from and go find one of them. Like I decided that being unique and being different is my superpower.
Yes.
And so I decided to like truly lean into it. Whether I was, you know, whatever else, Brodie or Brodie, whatever, like I decided, no, I'm Buzz Cut Brodie and I'm going to own my buzz cut for the rest of my career. And I'm going to be that bitch.
I'm going to be that bitch.
I'm going to be that bitch.
Yes.
Because I also had like ideas of doing something around like dancing and Brodie and Brodie that's dancing. And I'm like, no, but I'm not just a dancer. I'm an aerialist. I'm a model. I'm an actress. I'm a singer. Like I do all of these things. I'm an artist. You know?
Did you sing?
I do.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God. I'll tell you about that later.
I would love to hear about that. I mean,
yeah.
You can tell me about it now.
It's been a journey. Okay. So I never thought I would ever be a singer. Like I've always enjoyed singing, like in the car, in the shower, or whatever. But a couple years ago, I was living in Vegas and I auditioned for Moulin Rouge on Broadway. And it said just dancer, like seeking dancers. There were dancer singers, there were singer dancers, there were singers. But the role that I was auditioning for was just the dancer. And then I nailed the audition. They asked me to come back for callbacks the day later. And they said, you have to sing. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm just going to pretend like I sing. I'm going to figure it out. They told us to bring a song that was like a pop rock song. And they said, you can sing whatever you want. It has to be in the genre of pop rock. And you're going to sing 16 bars. Come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I was like, okay. And there was a really small group of us. It was like maybe 10 dancers. And they all brought us into the room and they were like, if anyone's terrified to sing, you don't have to sing, but we want to see if any of you guys can sing. And so he was like, if anyone's like too scared to sing, let me know. Raise your hand right now. And I just looked around like, seriously, I was waiting for someone else to raise their hand to give myself permission to raise my hand.
And nobody raised their hand.
No one raised their hand.
Everyone was like, I'll sing.
So then I was like, I guess I sing too.
I love
this bitch sings too. So then I rushed home. I called my friend Maggie that lives in New York. And I was like, bitch, I need, where's sheet music? How do I print off sheet music? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, how do I pick a song? Like, I just didn't know what to do. And she was like, oh, just sing something that you already know. So you don't have to worry about the lyrics. And I'll teach you how to find sheet music online. You're just going to print it out and then just put it in a binder and pretend like you know what you're doing. And I was like, okay, cool. And so, so then I figured that out, printed my music. I chose Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to love that song, like as a kid. And so I chose that song and I just walked in there, owned it, pretended like I knew what I was doing. My voice cracked. I messed up the lyrics and I laughed halfway through because my voice cracked like a bitch. Like it was so bad. It was awful. But I just like laughed it off like the nervous jitter laughs.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was one of those. So bad. And then I just kept going, finished it off. And then I like stuck it, even though I like wanted to cry. I was like, the second that I leave this room, I can cry. But for now, I'm just going to like pretend like everything's okay. I'm going to act my way through it and it's going to be fine. And so then the music stopped. Everything was fine. And then the director, like, you know, when 2 seconds go by, but it feels like 2 hours went by.
Yes.
Like the music stopped. I was looking at this director and I was just like, oh my God, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Everything's fine. You'll be okay. Like you can go home and cry. It's fine. It's fine. And literally probably 2 seconds later, he was like, that was amazing. He was like, you're really good. You are a natural. You just need to start training. I can tell you don't train, but you're a natural. Like, you can do this. And I was just like, really? And he was like, you messed up the words, you laughed, and like your voice cracked. But that's fine. Those are all things that can be fixed. But being a natural singer is not something that everyone has. And so like you need to do you need to train. You can do this. And he was like, I'll see you in New York at callbacks. Ooh. And he was like, until then, you're going to train every day. You're going to hire a singer singing coach,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to teach you everything that you need to know to nail that callback. And I'll see you in New York. And I was like,
and what happened?
I was like, oh my gosh, really? So then I got home, and then my agent sent me, like, you made it till the next round. We'll let you know about callbacks in a couple weeks. And so then I asked a different friend that lived in Vegas at the time. I was like, she's on Broadway right now. And I knew that she sung. And I was like, I need a singing coach here in Vegas. Like, I made it to callbacks for Moulin Rouge in New York. I don't know what I'm doing, but I told her the whole thing. And she put me in contact with her singing coach. Her name's Rhonda Carlson. She does like the acting side of singing, like figuring out your story and choosing songs and all of that. And then she partners with this guy named Greg, and he does all the technical stuff. So I kind of like got double teamed a little, and I would kind of have like 2 sessions a week with each of them, and he would help me with my scales and like things that my homework that I had to do on my own. And then Rhonda would help me in like the in-person, like figure out your songs, figure out the story. Like, this is where you emote this emotion. This is where you're happy. This is where you're sad, like whatever. Breakaway is a very, emotional song. But yeah, it was like really crazy to truly train like a singer. And then it was probably like a month or so, I got callbacks in New York, and they told me that like I was really, really good, and that they were really proud of me for training so hard, and they could tell the difference, and I didn't fuck up the words. I didn't laugh. My voice didn't crack. Like, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that was the first day. And then the second day, they invited a small group of people to have a workshop with the musical director. And so we got 20-minute slots of just working with the music director one-on-one for the third day, for like the real callback, for us to perform in front of the entire creative team. Mm-hmm. So it was like literally like 15 people in this one room, like everyone that their opinion matters, they were there. Mm-hmm. And so I had 20 minutes with him, and he was like, first of all, I just want to say I'm really proud of you for like really, really training, because I can tell the difference. And you are like such a different singer, performer now, and I'm really proud of you. But let's just fine tune a few things, and you're going to crush it tomorrow. I promise you. And I was like, okay. So then we worked for like 20 minutes. He released me. And then the next day I went to callbacks, and the best experience, because I walked in there and I just owned it, and I nailed my audition. Like, I fucking crushed it. And it's very few times that we can walk out of an audition and be like, I fucking
top to bottom
that.
Yes.
Like, it was so empowering. And I sang the shit out of my songs, and then I walked out of that room and I just started bawling like a baby, because I just felt so proud of myself. Mm-hmm, and it was just one of those moments that, like, top 5 moment of my entire life thus far. It was like one of the best feelings to know that I conquered a fear of singing in front of people, which was a fear of mine. And then also, like, knowing that I had the drive and determination to see something through that was really scary. Yeah. And just, like, putting aside all of my fears, but being like, okay, fuck it, let's see what happens, And I walked out of that room and back into the green room, or like the holding room, and I was just bawling, and everyone was like, what's wrong? Like, did you mess up? Are you okay? And I was like, no, it was perfect. Like, I fucking did that. And they were all just like, who is this bitch? Like, crying because she did good. Like, I was just like, I'm so proud of myself. And
I love that you got group pressured into finding out that you actually are a natural singer.
I know.
And then went to New York and did a callback as a dancer, but more so a singer.
Yeah.
Too. Like, that is so cool.
It was so crazy. And then I ended up not getting cast, but it's still like in me that I like want to do it. And that's kind of like one of my next goals is singing on Broadway.
Would you say that felt like a win or a fail?
1 million% a win.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because you came in and you came out with, like, if you were to give it a word,
like, new confidence.
New confidence. And that confidence came from proof, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like otherwise you could have just believed that you could maybe do it, but you actually went in and you had the proof to show you that you can in the future.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't have the proof in the sense that I got hired that day. I didn't get hired, but I have proof in the sense that I know that if I really trained at it, I could do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that the music director, like, he literally stood up and clapped for me in that audition in front of like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know he's not supposed to do that. Like,
Aww,
you know what I mean?
He was rooting for you.
Yeah. He was like, good job.
Earlier, you were kind of stating your titles. Like, I'm a dancer. I'm a vocalist. I'm an aerialist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, and all of those things that make you your brand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, like, if all of those titles were to fall away tomorrow.
Right.
Like if for some reason you didn't have the ability to dance, to do your aerial work, to sing, to pursue these skill sets that you have acquired along the way in your life, what do you feel like would be left for you?
That is such a powerful question because I do feel like so much of my life has been tied around art and like, just what we do for a living. And even before I did it as a living, it was still my whole life, like being a competitive dancer and like all of that. I do know a huge part of my purpose is changing the industry, the entertainment industry for the better.
What do you mean by that?
Right now, I am still a performer, but I know once I'm done performing, I want to be on the other end of things. I want to be a choreographer, producer, director, and just change the culture around entertainment. You know those camps that you get into or those jobs that you do and it's just the most toxic environment ever and it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like we've all experienced that and it sucks. I want to be the opposite of that.
What's your definition of toxicity?
Wow.
I know for me, toxic feels like suffocation of authenticity.
Yeah.
It feels like comparison.
Yeah.
It feels like an unhealthy competition.
Yeah.
Versus like
expansive
communal growth.
Yeah.
Yes. Versus expansion, which is, what you talked about in the beginning. Like you feel stifled by the people that are in this space. There's and also for me, because I'm such a huge person of inclusivity. Like if there's a lack of inclusivity, I feel like I'm choking. I can't stand the person on the side of the room who's like not being included. And that's part of sometimes people pleasing, but also sometimes I just wish people would just allow everyone to be whatever they are without like the side eye. Right. So what does it mean to you, the toxicity that you're wanting to change?
I think all of that, just those environments that feel really make you feel small. They make you feel like you're a kid again and like your tail's between your legs and you like can't do anything right. And no matter what you do, it's not good enough. And like all of those horrible feelings. So I want to create the opposite of that.
Do you feel like people can make you feel things?
Wow.
I'm just curious because
I guess that kind of does put the power in other people. Because I guess like if you choose not to take that on, no one can make you feel anything because it's like your experience. But probably no. Probably like the right answer is no. No one can make you feel anything unless you choose to feel that. But I do think that a lot of environments in the entertainment industry are toxic. And I don't think that that's deniable, especially with everything that's going on. Won't name names, but you know what I mean.
Shield ourselves from feeling.
Right. And still be expected to perform your best.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of environments are curated in a way that none of us are our best. And that sucks. I hate going to bed at the end of the day and feeling like I wasn't my best self in any situation, in any environment. That sucks. And I've just felt that way so many times on jobs.
What does your best self feel like?
It feels powerful. It feels empowering for other people. I like to be inspiring for other people and make them feel good about themselves. And I like it when everyone feels good.
Yes.
It's like everyone's just buzzing and like vibrating high, and like I just love that.
Buzz Cut Brodie.
Yes, work.
Okay, so moving into your 30s pretty soon. If you could make a thesis statement of your 20s and then a new thesis statement that you're bringing in for your 30s. Let's start with the 20s. What would it be?
I feel like my 20s was a lot of learning. A lot of like absorbing. I was like a sponge, just trying everything. I feel like I really like dabbled in so many different things. And then going into 30, there's more of like a knowing. Like I know who I am now. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. And I'm really good with the word no.
Ooh.
I'm like, no, thank you. I'm good. I don't need that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, so much of my 20s was feeling like I should be doing something. Or like, oh, they invited me, so I should want to go.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I don't like that, but I should try it.
Yeah.
I should show up for that person. All of the shoulds. But now I'm just like, I don't want to.
No.
I'm good. No, thank you.
I love a good powerful
no, thank you, but let's do this instead.
Yes. Options.
Yeah.
Options.
Yeah. Like a huge example for me is like, I don't do extreme sports. Like I don't go snowboarding. I don't go rollerblading. I don't go skiing. I don't do any of that because the potential to get injured is just not worth my career. Like I truly don't enjoy even biking because I'm afraid if I fall off, my career's over and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So it's like just not an enjoyable experience for me. And so there have been so many times in the past that like someone would invite me to Mammoth or like Big Bear and be like, let's go snowboarding this weekend. And like I would go, but I would be shitting on myself the whole time because I didn't want to be there. And I was in fear the whole time.
Yeah.
And like, I just always wondered what it would look like if I just said no, thank you. Because that was the answer I wanted to say. But instead, I'm spending my time, my energy, my money doing something that I literally don't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
For like various reasons, you know? I'm just so committed to not doing shit like that anymore. I don't have time to be doing anything I don't want to do.
I love the thesis of no thank you.
No thank you.
No thank you is the thesis of the 30s.
Literally, no thank you.
I want to wrap up on the theme of you and your brand because I think that like Buzz Cut Brodie is like, it runs deeper than just like you having a buzz cut. Because of our conversations, I know that like your hair or lack thereof became a way for you to come more into your own and to realize things that didn't need to be the definition of femininity, didn't need to be the definition of sexy, didn't need to be anything for you. And I wonder, like, for people who are watching you, for people who are maybe thinking of cutting their hair, thinking of doing something totally different with themselves, like, what would you say that your hair has taught you about, like, what else you might not need? Like, if your hair doesn't mean that you are a feminine woman, if it doesn't mean that you are good enough for a job or whatever it is that it might be, like, what would you say that it has taught you outside of just like a hairstyle?
Having a buzz cut has taught me so many things about myself. And it's kind of like, it was a similar situation to the whole like Moulin Rouge singing thing as it was to get to this point today. Because you know about my whole story with Galen Hooks and like how she told me to cut off all my hair and I was super scared and
then
hesitant.
Did it in 2 days.
And then did it and here we are. It's kind of just like the fear of unknown things that I'm just embracing in this point in my life. And it's just like, let me just try this on, see if it works for me, because you can always pivot.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, you can.
You can always just like choose something different. Whether you're like moving to a different city or chopping off your hair or trying a new outfit on or literally anything. Like just because you said yes today doesn't mean that you have to say yes tomorrow.
I love that.
Or for the rest of your life.
Hell yeah.
So it's just kind of like embracing choosing differently. Because like maybe you do cut off all your hair and you absolutely love it, which is the case of, you know, me. But I never would have known that if I didn't do it.
What can we expect to see from you next?
I feel like you can expect to see so many things. And honestly, when you asked me that, I was thinking about like accolades within my career, but I'm going to try to go on the more like human side of things because I'm not only my career.
We love that around these parts.
I know. I know. I feel like just being a stronger, more in tune, feminine being, listening to my intuition, doing what I want to do, not doing what I don't want to do, being more vulnerable online. Ooh.
Because she
Within
wants
balance.
to.
No, I truly do. And it's
Mhm.
something that I've like battled with for a while. But I think anything can be good within the right portions.
Yes.
You know? Like
Yeah.
I can still post career things with posting more vulnerable things too.
Yes.
Like even posting my broken wrist online, like I almost didn't post that because I was like, who's gonna want to hire me if they...
With your big ass smile on. So cool.
I had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
Well, I'm very proud of where you're at. I know it's been a hard year.
It has.
And you always come in vibrantly, like not just for yourself, but I think that what you just said that you wanted to create, like the way that you go to bed that makes you feel your best self. Whenever I'm around you, you emanate that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to be your friend. I'm excited to see you grow into the human that you want to become and all of the accolades that pile on because you are more of that human that you want to become.
Yeah.
And I just thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for seeing me and just always being a down ass bitch, to be honest. Yeah, we value that here. And I feel like, yeah, whenever I ask you to do something, you're like, yes. And I know that you mean it. You're doing it because you want to.
Right. That's important.
That's the theme.
Oh, thank you so much for all the sweet words. And I hope that I'm a mirror to you because everything that you just said about me is true for you. And that's why we resonate with each other because we're vibrating at the same level. And I don't think anyone is ever better than anyone else. We're just vibrating at different frequencies and that's okay.
Yeah.
People are just in different parts of their life. But I feel like we're so aligned and that's why we connect so strongly. And like right back at you to everything you just said to me. And thank you for the sweet words. Thank you for having me.
We did it.
And thank you for being an amazing friend.
Yeah,
truly,
girl.
because not everybody is a good friend.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's a hard lesson. Yeah. I love you.
We did it. I love you too. Thank you so much.